Live picture from NASA television of the Space Shuttle Discovery. Launch time scheduled in a little less than 45 minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. The Associated Press has put together a comparison of Senator Glenn's first space mission and his second. Back in 1962, he was on the Mercury capsule named Friendship, and today he and the crew will be in the Space Shuttle Discovery. His first flight was a total of about 75,000 miles. He and the crew this time will travel about 3.5 million miles. His liftoff thrust on that first flight was 350,000 pounds. The thrust today at liftoff, 7 million pounds. The Space Shuttle Discovery has 5 computers. The Mercury capsule had none. And that Mercury capsule, named Friendship back in 1962, had 143 switches and dials. Space Shuttle Discovery has more than 2,000 switches and dials. Again, the countdown till 2 o'clock launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery. They'll be going into a hold in just a few minutes. It's a regularly scheduled hold. You see live coverage of the liftoff of the Space Shuttle and news conferences following it live here on C-SPAN.
OTC CPVD. Go PVD. Yeah, I can give you 859 Centauri.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 20 minutes and counting. Just a few seconds away now from going into our built-in hold at the T-minus 20-minute mark. Again, this is a planned built-in hold. We'll give the launch team time to catch up with any activities they may have fallen behind on, and just to take an overall rest as well. Everything continued to go smoothly in our launch countdown this morning with Discovery out at Launch Pad 39B, looking for an on-time liftoff at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And the countdown clock is now at T-minus 20 minutes and holding.
Duration of hold will be 10 minutes.
Immediately after liftoff, control of the orbiter and flight switches from KSC to mission control at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Flight controllers are standing by now, ready to assume control of the vehicle. We will now go to the Mission Control Center to get a brief update on their activities.
All systems OTC, verify.
And at T-minus 20 minutes and holding, this is Mission Control, Houston. With activities at the Kennedy Space Center moving toward an on-time launch of Discovery and its crew of 7, the flight control team here in Houston is ready to assume responsibility for the mission once Discovery clears the launch tower. The ascent team of flight controllers is led by Flight Director Linda Ham, overseeing her 5th Space Shuttle ascent today. As the ascent flight director, she is responsible for coordinating the efforts of the flight control team on duty here in Mission Control. She's joined on the console by the weather flight director, Wayne Hale, himself a veteran launch flight director, and he'll be working with the weather forecasters here in Houston to determine if conditions at possible contingency landing sites meet the shuttle's launch commit criteria. Weather forecasts are continuing to look promising to support today's launch of Discovery at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central. Handling communications duties with the crew on board Discovery today will be astronaut Susan Still, the ascent Capcom. This is the second time that Flight Director Linda Ham and Capcom Susan Still have led the flight control team for a shuttle ascent. On console with Still is the weather Capcom, astronaut Scott Horowitz. Horowitz is in contact with Chief Astronaut Charlie Precourt, flying the weather aircraft at the Kennedy Space Center. He's been flying both a T-38 and the shuttle training aircraft, providing the flight control team with weather observations on actual conditions at the launch site. Those observations are complementing forecasts being provided by the Spaceflight Meteorology Group here at the Johnson Space Center. In addition to providing information about weather conditions at the Kennedy Space Center, the Spaceflight Meteorology Group is also watching weather at the contingency landing sites in the event that a transatlantic landing is necessary during today's ascent. Once Discovery lifts off from the Kennedy Space Center, its onboard computer guidance system will place the vehicle in a heads-down position, putting Discovery on course for a 340 statute-mile orbit.
Second pump.
About 40 seconds into the flight, the three main engines will be throttled back as Discovery passes through the denser regions of the Earth's lower atmosphere. And less than 1 minute later, the engines are throttled back up and reach a speed of nearly 4,000 miles per hour as Discovery continues an 8.5-minute climb to orbit. Twin solid rocket boosters will burn out and separate about 2 minutes into the flight, while Discovery's three main engines will continue thrusting for the full 8.5 minutes. Once the main engines have exhausted their fuel, the large external fuel tank will separate from Discovery and plummet back to Earth. About 45 minutes or so after main engine cutoff, Discovery's orbital maneuvering system engines will be fired to refine and circularize the orbit. 5 of Discovery's 7 crew members have experienced a shuttle ascent before. Commander Kurt Brown is making his 5th flight. Mission Specialist Scott Parazynski is on his 3rd space mission, while pilot Steve Lindsay, Mission Specialist Steve Robinson, and Payload Specialist Chiaki Mukai are all making their 2nd flights. ESA astronaut Pedro Duque will be enjoying his 1st shuttle flight with today's launch. But for Payload Specialist number 2, John Glenn, today's climb to orbit will be much different than what he experienced during his first space mission on February 20th, 1962, more than 36 years ago. The primary difference is in the vehicles, Glenn having flown first in a small capsule with a volume of only 36 cubic feet. Today, he launches in a much larger spacecraft, one with wings and the ability to return to Earth as a glider. Discovery also provides its 7-member crew with almost 70 times as much space as was available on board Friendship 7. Power on liftoff is another major difference Glenn will notice today, with the shuttle providing about 20 times more thrust than the Mercury Atlas 6. In fact, the Mercury Atlas 6 total liftoff thrust of about 360,000 pounds is less than that of just one of Discovery's 3 space shuttle main engines. Discovery's 3 main engines each will generate about 500,000 pounds of thrust, with most of the liftoff power provided by the 2 solid rocket boosters, which will generate about 3 million pounds of thrust each, for a total liftoff thrust of about 7.5 million pounds. About 2 minutes into Discovery's flight today, when the solid rocket boosters burn themselves out and separate from the shuttle, Discovery will be at an altitude of about 28 statute miles. Back in 1962, when the booster engines dropped off of the Atlas rocket, Glenn was at an altitude of about 40 miles. On Glenn's first flight, the Mercury Atlas vernier engines continue to accelerate for another 3 minutes until cutoff about 5 minutes after the launch. They were shut down at that time, putting John Glenn in orbit at an altitude of about 100 miles, with a G-force about 7.5 times that of Earth's. By comparison, 5 minutes into today's ascent, Discovery will be at an altitude of about 67 miles and still accelerating with an additional 3.5 minutes of powered flight ahead. The crew will experience its maximum 3G load about 7.5 minutes into flight, that 3G load being about half of what Glenn experienced in 1962. Discovery Space Shuttle main engines will continue to fire until main engine cutoff, or MECO, about 8.5 minutes after launch. Once that happens, John Glenn will be in orbit for the 2nd time in his life. This time, though, he will be at an altitude of roughly 340 statute miles, about 3 times higher than he was in 1962. And if all goes according to plan, on this 8-day, 21-hour, and 50-minute-long flight, he'll remain in orbit roughly 43 times longer than his original 4-hour and 55-minute flight back in 1962. And right now, things in the flight control room are proceeding according to plan. Houston Mission Control is prepared to assume control of the mission a little more than 33 minutes from now. For a continuing look at launch preparations, we now return to the Kennedy Space Center and Lisa Malone.
I do have one additional topic to discuss today. Due to a failed sensor on engine number 2 pick actuator, we may receive an error message late in the count at T-minus 3 minutes and 10 seconds. This is an expected condition and no constraint to launch. The error will be reset and countdown will continue uninterrupted. Are there any questions? That concludes the briefing.
OTC GNC. Go GNC. Yeah, we return DU2 back to C12. Copy. 927, 928.
Countdown clock will start in 3 minutes.
We've just heard NASA Test Director Doug Lyons mention to the crew here at the Launch Control Center about a known condition that we may hear the last few minutes of the launch countdown. The orbiter's thrust vector control system confirms engine position data with an indicator. And last month, during routine tests, engineers discovered that the indicator for the engine number 2 was providing inaccurate data. This is not an issue for today's launch. The data can be gathered from alternate sources so that there are no problems that exist with the engine itself or the engine actuator, and there will be no performance problems at all.
And from the DFS SM system summary page, can you give me cabin press?
Roger, cabin pressure is 14.7.
Copy. ECL, you're filling.
Yeah, ours is 14.72.
CDR-RTC, you can reconfigure CR3 appropriately and close the cabin vent valve.
Roger, copy that, and closing cabin vent valve. OTC, closed cabin vent valves are complete.
Copy.
Got about 1 minute remaining in our hold, built-in hold here at the T-minus 20-minute mark.
Countdown clock will resume in 1 minute. Mark.
As we come out of this hold, Discovery's onboard computers will transition into the terminal countdown configuration. And we will look at the computer memory on one of the 4 primary computers so we can make sure the launch and initial ascent software program has been stored properly. All continuing to look well in our countdown with the Space Shuttle Discovery and mission STS-95. Again, looking for an on-time liftoff in about 30 minutes, right at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
T-minus 20 minutes and counting.
Houston flight, NTD on 212.
NTD Houston flight.
Will additional weather brief be required this morning?
No further briefing is required.
Copy.
As we go into the hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark, that will be our next planned built-in hold and our final built-in hold for the morning. We will have a special treat. We will hear one of NASA's original Mercury 7 astronauts give a wish to the crew aboard Discovery. That will happen as we go into the hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark.
That's copy, thank you.
OTC DPS. Go ahead. Okay, pass ops transition is complete. You just raised the DFS transition to Ops 101.
Copy that. CDR-RTC, clear path fault sound. Take DFS to Ops 1 per your checklist.
Copy that, and DFS Ops 1.
Commander Kurt Brown now configuring the backup flight system computer to match the configuration for the primary computers on board Discovery. T-minus 17 minutes and counting. Again, counting down to the planned built-in hold at the 9-minute mark. Things are going well and very smoothly here in the firing room.
Stand by.
Also at the T-minus 9-minute mark, and during that hold, the launch team here at Kennedy Space Center will conduct a poll to make sure that everyone is definitely go for launch.
Your contingency aboard your steer per your checklist. And PLT OTC configure pass and BFS horizontal sit displays.
Yeah, copy. That's in work.
Pilot Lindsay's in the process of configuring the cockpit displays for launch.
COOS OTC.
What was that?
Step 968, configure ohms cross feeds for flight.
Copy and work. NTD, GBFS.
CBFS, NTD, go ahead.
Ready for BFS uplink.
Hi, copy. And Houston flight, perform BFS pre-flight uplink loading.
NTD Houston flight, we'll put it in work.
Copy.
NASA Test Director Doug Lyons asked Houston Flight to send a pre-flight uplink command to the orbiter's backup flight system. These are loads that are sent from Houston via the Mila tracking station and put the 5th general purpose computer in the proper configuration for our launch today.
OTC, see the west.
T-minus 15 minutes.
Pick up for flight. Copy.
All non-essential personnel are being cleared from the launch danger area at this time in the count.
OTC PLT horizontal sit config is complete. Copy that, PLT, and if you would perform MPS helium reconfig at this time.
Copy and work. OTC, the config contingency aboard yaw stereo is complete.
I copy, yeah.
Commander Kurt Brown and Pilot Lindsay talking to USA Orbiter Test Conductor Ray Probst, configuring the vehicle for flight.
FCP copy.
ATD copy.
Launch Director Ralph Rowe is here in the firing room today. Is his first time to be leading the team here in firing room 1 at the Launch Control Center. It's his first launch as Launch Director. We'll hear his voice as he gives the hold here as we come out of the hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark.
Okay, I copy that. And CVFS?
I copy.
Thank you.
NTD PTC.
PTC.
Step 904. Step 903 was not performed on substep 1 and 3.
I copy.
T-minus 13 minutes and counting.
NTD safety.
Go ahead, safety.
Verify step 980.
I copy that. And how about 981?
That's firm. I can give you 981 at this time.
I copy that.
Also back.
Again, we will be going to astronaut Scott Carpenter, who is on standby watching the launch today. As we go into the hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark,
And SRO.
we will be hearing a few words from Scott Carpenter to the crew aboard Discovery.
KSV area is clear for launch.
Copy that. Thank you.
T-minus 12 minutes and counting.
And all systems OTC, discontinue all non-mandatory LDB traffic for remainder of count.
Just past the 10-minute mark in our launch countdown. We've got a planned built-in hold coming up at the T-minus 9-minute mark.
Countdown clock.
And the countdown clock is now holding at the T-minus 9-minute mark. Again, this is a planned built-in hold, the last planned one for our countdown today for STS-95. We are pleased to be joined this afternoon by another of NASA's original 7 Mercury astronauts, Scott Carpenter, and he has a special message for the crew aboard Discovery.
Yes, at this point in the count, it seems appropriate to say to the shuttle Discovery crew, good luck, have a safe flight, and to say once again, Godspeed, John Glenn.
NTD echo.
Carpenter served as Glenn's backup for the Mercury Atlas 6 flight in 1962. He was located in the Complex 14 blockhouse just a few hundred yards away from the launch pad at Cape Canaveral Air Station. Carpenter was in communication with Glenn for the last 18 seconds of the launch countdown, and moments before the launch uttered to Glenn the immortal words, which have since been etched into history. Scott Carpenter, again, is here at Kennedy Space Center watching the launch of his once fellow crewmate of one of the original 7. We have all three of the surviving original 7 are here at Kennedy Space Center. Of course, John Glenn patiently awaiting the launch of the shuttle Discovery, and just less than 20 minutes away now.
For the cabin bleed down, and that's the only one we reached as far as we know.
And ISL incident?
ISL. This would have been during, not after the, be towards the middle of the leak checks.
Okay, and CDR NTD on 212.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't copy your last, but any caution on warning resets during the event itself? The pressurization?
Actually, when we were pressurizing the cabin, we did have a master alarm, then we reset that one, and then the next one we had was when we were venting the cabin, we had the master alarm, and we reset that also.
Okay, thank you. And ISO entity?
Yeah, we're looking into it with it.
Okay, copy that.
NTD CDFS.
Go ahead.
The T-minus 20-minute GBC dump is complete.
I copy that. No TC?
Copied.
NTD Houston flight.
Go ahead, flight.
Steps 1013 through 1019 are not required, and we have a final update for the crew.
Okay, I copy that, and we're ready for that now.
Discovery Houston, we have one more update for you.
Discovery, go ahead.
In the event of a TOW to Banjul, we'd like short-field speed brakes.
Okay, we copy. Banjul will be short field speed brake.
Good readback.
OTC CPVD.
Go PVD.
Pellet bay purge flow rate set for launch 10:30 and take a not performed on 10:27.
Copy.
CISO entity on 212.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is your recommendation at this point to hold and evaluate at 9?
Yes, sir.
I copy.
This is Shuttle Control. We've got about 5.5 minutes remaining in this built-in hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark.
Panel 019.
Mission Management Team Chairman Don McMonagle now conducting the poll of the Mission Management Team here in Firing Room 1. We will also hear NASA Test Director Doug Lyons conduct a poll of the launch team, and of course Launch Director Ralph Rowe. Each member will be giving their final go, no-go to launch.
OTC, MS2. 019 TV power is on. Copy.
And CISO entity on 212. CISO entity on 212.
ISO.
NTD ISO. Okay, I understand you're evaluating the data and looking for your pre-planned contingency procedures. Is this something you think you're going to be able to resolve and understand here in the short term?
I believe we will, sir.
Okay, copy that. And GLS entity.
GLS go.
Okay, I'd like to cancel pending resume at 9, please.
Copy.
NTD, this is
Complete.
I copy GLS. And SPE, go ahead.
Yes, can I have ECL and ISL over on 161?
That's firm. And ECL and ISL entity on 212.
ECL copy.
And ISL entity.
ISO copy.
Thank you.
And our Test Director Doug Lyons confirming the count will resume at the T-minus 9-minute mark. There was some discussion about a caution and warning system inside the crew cabin. That system is up and operational. When the countdown resumes, the ground launch sequencer will be in control. This is the master computer program that will issue command to perform the final critical task required to put the vehicle in launch configuration.
I can verify step 1048. Test gas confidence check is complete.
This system will monitor as many as 1,000 different measurements during the final 9 minutes to make sure they do not fall out of predetermined limits.
Attention launch team, this is the NTD on 212. We will go into an extended hold at 9 while we continue to research our master alarm situation. Again, we will go into an extended hold. Duration of the hold we expect will be short.
NASA Test Director Doug Lyons announcing to the launch team that we will be extending the hold at the T-minus 9 minute mark. He does expect this to be a very short hold. The launch team is continuing to evaluate a master alarm, and this was a situation associated with the cabin vent for Discovery's crew module. Once the orbiter hatch is closed and locked for flight, there's a series of vents and leak checks that are conducted. Also associated with that, a master alarm is also sounded during the testing sequence. This is not expected to be any launch delay associated with this. And again, there's discussion going on the engineering channels. We're continuing to hold as engineers discuss and evaluate the status of the master alarm that was sounded in the Discovery's crew module. Again, this is all associated with cabin leak checks that were performed earlier in the count. When the Discovery crew module door was installed and secured for flight, as a matter of routine, the cabin vents will be slowly, and the whole crew cabin is slowly pressurized from its normal sea level pressure of 14.7 pounds per square inch up to a few more pounds per square inch. And as the pressure increases The environmental control engineer here in the flying room monitors the status of the test. The higher than normal pressure in the crew module causes alarms in the cabin to go off. This serves as a test of the orbiter's caution and warning system. We do have a 2.5-hour launch window today. We expect we will be clearing this problem up very shortly as we continue to hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark. All other systems aboard Discovery are continuing to look very good at this point. Weather looking very good for today's launch. Flight Director Linda Ham in Houston just confirming with the launch team that she also saw the 3 master alarms as expected when the pressure was brought up inside Discovery's crew module. And we expect a discussion to follow soon.
And ISL NTD on 212. ISL. Yes, sir. You called? Negative disregard. Okay, thank you.
Test conductors just verifying the flight crew in Houston Flight and also the engineers here in the flying room did all see the same data, and it was expected. Again, this is with associated with master alarms that went off when the cabin pressure was brought up during a routine testing.
And at this time, we are go. ECL is go at this time as well.
Okay, I copy that. No constraint to launch. And CISL, JRPS, Houston Flight NTD on 212. Activate ops recorders. CISL. ISL copy. JRPS. JRPS copy. And Houston Flight.
Houston Flight, we'll put it in work.
Copy. And attention all stations. This is the NTD performing the launch status checks. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. Say go, no go. OTC. Go. TVC.
Tank and boosters are go.
TTC, go. LPS.
LPS, let's go.
Flight.
Flights go.
Mila.
Mila's go.
STM, go. Safety console. Safety console, go. SVE.
ST's go.
LRD. LRD is go. SRO.
SRO is go. You have range clear to launch.
I copy. And C.
Discovery's go.
Very good. And Launch Director NTD, the launch team is ready to proceed.
Okay, I'll perform my poll at this time. Engineering. Engineering Director 212. Safety and Mission Assurance.
Safety and mission assurance is go, Ralph.
Payload Processing.
Payloads are go.
Cape Weather.
Roger, sir. We have no constraints to launch. Over.
Ops Manager.
MMT is go for launch.
See Engineering one more time. Engineering Director 212. Go, no go.
Yeah, we are still completing our poll.
Attention all stations, this NTD on 212. We will be resuming the count momentarily. Stand by.
We've remained in the built-in hold an additional 8.5 minutes so far.
So,
I've completed my poll. We are go.
all right, thank you. CDR Launch Director.
Go ahead, launch director.
Kurt, the launch team is go. Your vehicle's ready. The weather's beautiful out there. On behalf of the entire launch team, you and the crew of Discovery have a great mission.
Thank you very much, sir. And Discovery's crew is definitely ready to go, and we would like you to proceed.
NTD, pick up the count.
I copy that, Launch Director. And CISL NTD? CISL? Up to recorder activation complete?
Not yet.
Okay, and this is no constraint of picking up the hold at 9, is that correct?
Negative.
Copy that. And attention all stations, countdown clock will resume momentarily. CLS NTD, pick up the count on your mark.
CLS copies. Countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
Now we're now at T-minus 9 minutes and counting. We heard NASA Test Director Doug Lyons conduct a poll of the launch team. Also Ralph Rowe, launch director, conducting a poll of his team. And Don McMonagle also giving the input from the mission management team, also located here in the firing room. All systems are go for the launch of the shuttle Discovery. Looking for an on-time liftoff. Correction, that would be
CISL, up to recorder activated. And CISL.
about a 9-minute delay.
PLT, OTC, configure fuel cells to the essentials.
Copy, that's in work.
T-minus 8 minutes and counting to the launch of the shuttle Discovery.
Copy that.
The orbiter access arm would be retracted away from the shuttle in just a few moments. T-minus 7 minutes, 30 seconds to the launch of STS-95. Orbiter access arm now moving away from the shuttle Discovery as we get a final glimpse of the cockpit where the 7 astronauts await the launch of STS-95. T-minus 7 minutes and counting. The orbiter's auxiliary power units will be started at the T-minus 5 minute mark. These units provide hydraulic power to the orbiter. The shuttle's 3 main engines will be started at the T-minus 6 second mark. They will come up to full thrust, and right at the T-minus 0 point, we will have the boosters ignite, and the shuttle will lift off.
Start recording. Quarters are started.
NTD SRO on 212.
Go ahead, SRO.
Yes, sir. We need to hold the clock at T-minus 5 minutes. We have an aircraft that we can't find.
Okay, I copy that. And GLS NTD, sure to hold at 5, please.
GLS copies and work.
Launch count will hold at the T-minus 5 minute mark. The range safety officer reported an aircraft in the area. We need to locate that aircraft and escort it out of the flight path of the vehicle. Again, we do have a 2.5-hour window today. These momentary holds will not affect anything on board the shuttle Discovery, and the crew is...
The APU pre-start complete. 3 great talkbacks.
OTC copies. And GLS confirmed that a hold is in place at 5 minutes.
Correct. The countdown clock will hold at T-minus 5 minutes due to NTD hold request.
T-minus 5 minutes and holding.
The countdown clock is holding at T-minus 5 minutes.
Again, the range safety officer monitoring the airspace within the Kennedy Space Center vicinity reported an aircraft in the area.
While the range attempts to resolve their issue, please stand by. SRO NTD. SRO NTD on 212.
The launch team here will stand by, waiting for the Superintendent of Range Operations, known as SRO, to give the final clear for launch. Again, an aircraft in the area. We will have to hold and wait for that aircraft to move out of the vicinity of Kennedy Space Center so that the shuttle Discovery can safely lift off and have a clean flight path. The auxiliary power units will not be started until the countdown resumes, and we will start that event as soon as the clock does resume.
SRO NTD on 212.
SRO's on 212.
Okay, can you briefly update me on your situation?
Yes, sir. We have a fouled range at this time. We have unidentified aircraft in the box.
And you're attempting to identify those and clear the box.
That is correct. That is correct, sir. And we have no expected clear time at this time.
Copy. Please keep me advised.
Will do, sir.
CDR NTD on 212.
CDR, go ahead.
As for you and the crew, Kurt, as you've heard, we are in a momentary hold here due to the range, but they're attempting to take care of that condition, and we expect that we will be good to proceed here shortly.
And CDR copies.
NTD SRO on 212.
SRO, NTD, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Latest update from SCO is that there are multiple targets, and at this time the radar is saturated. They're working the issue.
Okay, I copy that, and again, please keep us advised.
We can hold at this built-in hold at, we can hold at the T-minus 5 minute mark for a couple of hours if need be, while the Superintendent of Range Operations attempts to help clear the airspace of the aircraft in the area. Launch team here at KSC continuing to maintain at their consoles, remaining in a hold at the T-minus 5 minute mark. Today will mark the 8th time we've had two space shuttles on both launch pads at the same time during a launch. The Space Shuttle Endeavour is at launch pad 39A, being prepared for the first space station launch from the United States. Endeavour is carrying the Unity node, which is the first piece of the space station hardware that will be launched into orbit by NASA here at Kennedy Space Center. The first piece of space station hardware will be launched from the Russian launch site in Baikonur. That is scheduled for November 20th. The launch team will continue to remain in this built-in into the hold at the T-minus 5 minute mark. Again, this is an unscheduled hold based on the information from the Superintendent of Range Operations. Receiving information there are aircraft in the area at Kennedy Space Center. The airspace must be clear before we launch the shuttle Discovery.
Into the SRO on 212.
Go ahead, SRO.
Yes, sir. Range is clear for launch at this time. You have a go from the range. Recommend pick up the clock at 1915 Zulu with a new T0 of 1920 Zulu.
Okay. Is that a constraint as far as you're concerned? Or are you ready to pick up at our direction?
We can pick up at your direction, sir,
Okay.
but we prefer 1915.
Okay. And launch director? Go. Copy that. And range, we're going to pick up the count. Attention all stations. This is the NTD. Countdown clock will pick up momentarily. GLS, pick up the count on your mark.
GLS copies. 3, 2, 1, mark. GLS is go for orbiter APU start.
PLT, OTC, perform APU start.
Copy that, in work.
CDR, OTC, reconfigure heaters.
CDR copies, heater reconfig, in work. And OTC, heater reconfig is complete.
Copy.
T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Pilot Lindsay will report back when the APUs he's seen an indication they have a good start.
OTC, PLT, APU start is complete, 3 in the green.
Copy that.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
4,
A final purge sequence of the main engines will begin in about 30 seconds. The orbiter flight control systems are being moved through their pre-programmed pattern, and they will be verified they are ready for launch. The 3 main engines are being gimbaled and positioned for launch. All systems are go for launch at this time, just a few minutes away from the 25th voyage of Discovery with a crew of 7.
GLS will hold at T-minus 31 seconds due to a failure indication. Engine 2 pitch is as expected.
And GLS NTD, copy.
Again, this was the issue we described earlier. This is a known condition.
Pressurization.
It's just an indicator that was providing inaccurate data.
Clear caution warning memory. Verify no unexpected errors.
Copy that, in work.
MTD, CLC. MPS engine 2 pitch, actuator profile, verified nominal. CLC is go for launch.
And CLC is NTD, I copy, go for launch. SPE?
ST is go.
It's break, NTD SRO on 212.
Go ahead, SRO.
Yes, sir. We will need to hold the clock. Range is no-go. We have a fouled range.
I copy that, and we'll hold at T-minus 31 seconds, and be advised our hold time there is 5 minutes and 18 seconds.
Range understands hold time of 5 minutes, 18 seconds.
OTC, PLT, caution warning clear, no expected errors.
Countdown clock will be holding. The Superintendent of Range Operations announcers.
Remove the hold in association with our engine 2 pitch, and insert a hold at T-minus 31 seconds due to the range.
GLS copies and work.
Flight crew OTC, close and lock your visors, initiate O2. And on this historic mission, let the wings of Discovery lift us onto the future.
And CDR copies. We'll close our visors and go to pseudo 2.
Countdown clock will hold at T-minus 31 seconds due to NTD hold request.
Break, NTD, SRO on 212.
Good, SRO.
Yes, sir. Range is go for launch. The range is clear.
I copy that, Launch Director NTD.
Let's go.
And GLS, please remove the hold at T-minus 31.
Copy and work.
T-minus 1 minute and counting. All systems are go. All systems have been reported go for launch of Discovery. Less than 1 minute away now from the historic return of John Glenn to space.
I copy and attention all stations. The countdown clock will continue.
GLS is go for auto sequence start.
Discovery's onboard computers now have control of vehicle functions. T-minus 20 seconds. T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery with a crew of 6 astronaut heroes and 1 American legend.
Houston Discovery, roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery. Discovery Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
One minute and 50 seconds into the flight. Discovery now at an altitude of 25 miles, traveling at a speed of 2,900 miles an hour. The next event will be burnout and separation of Discovery's twin solid rocket boosters.
Discovery Houston, 2-engine Banjul.
Copy, 2-engine Banjul.
Capcom Susan Still informing the crew that in the event of a single engine failure,
Houston, performance nominal.
Copy, performance nominal.
Discovery could now reach the transatlantic abort site at Banjul. However, telemetry indicating all 3 engines continuing to perform well, and Discovery's performance to this point, 2.5 minutes into the flight, has been as expected. Discovery now traveling at a speed of 3,500 miles per hour at an altitude of 43 miles, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 70 miles. All systems are continuing to perform well.
That cloud's going to miss us, isn't it?
3 minutes into the flight, Discovery now traveling at a speed of 3,850 miles per hour, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center at a distance of 86 miles. Just about 5 minutes of powered flight remaining on board. 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the flight, Discovery now traveling at a speed of 4,600 miles per hour. Downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, just about 135 miles. Telemetry indicating that all systems on board are
negative return.
Discovery copies, negative return.
And with that call, Discovery is now too far downrange and has gained too much altitude to return to the Kennedy Space Center in the event of an engine failure.
Discovery Houston, press to ATO.
Discovery copies, press to ATO.
And Discovery could now reach orbit on 2 engines should one fail. However, telemetry continues to indicate that all 3 main engines are performing at 104% of rated thrust as expected. 4 minutes, 21 seconds into the flight, just about 4 more minutes of powered flight remaining. Discovery traveling at a speed of 5,700 miles per hour, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 200 miles. Five minutes into the mission, 3.5 minutes of powered flight remaining.
Discovery Houston, press to MECO.
Discovery copies, press to MECO.
That call means that Discovery could now reach a safe orbit on 2 engines should one fail. All 3 main engines are continuing to perform.
Discovery Houston, single engine ops 3, Banjul.
Discovery copies, single engine ops 3, Banjul.
Discovery now at a speed of 7,600 miles per hour, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 308 miles. All systems on board are continuing to perform well. Just about 3 minutes of powered flight remaining.
Discovery Houston, single engine Banjul 104.
Discovery copies, single engine Banjul 104.
With all 3 main engines still up and running on board at Discovery, that call was that Discovery could make it to the transatlantic abort site at Banjul in the event that 2 engines should fail. But all 3 engines are continuing to perform as expected. Discovery now downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 385 miles, traveling at a speed of 9,100 miles per hour and an altitude of just about 68 miles.
Discovery Houston, single engine press 104.
Discovery copies, single engine press 104.
6 minutes and 40 seconds into the flight, traveling at a speed of 10,700 miles per hour. Discovery could now reach orbit on 1 engine should 2 fail. However, all 3 engines are still performing at 104% of rated thrust. Seven minutes and 10 seconds into the flight, Discovery's engines will soon begin to throttle back to maintain structural limits on the orbiter as it approaches loads near 3 times normal gravity. Discovery now traveling at the rate of 12,800 miles per hour, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 630 miles. Seven minutes and 52 seconds into the flight, Discovery is now traveling at a speed of 15,000 miles per hour. Downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 750 miles. The 3 main engines have throttled back to maintain structural limits on the orbiter as it reaches its 3G limiting load. And standing by for confirmation of cutoff of the main engines in just about 10 seconds or so.
Discovery Houston, Nominal MECO, ohms 1 not required.
copy. Ohms 1 not required.
And main engine cutoff and separation of the external tank confirmed by the booster officer here in Mission Control. 8 minutes and 53 seconds into the flight, the crew of Discovery in orbit. John Glenn in orbit for the second time in his life, currently at an altitude of just about 72 miles.
Discovery Houston, we estimate ET sunset of 22 minutes. Discovery Houston, we'll be sending up OMS 2 targets with the updated HT.
Okay, we copy. You're going to send up the updated HT.
Discovery Houston, on the completion of MPS dump, you have a go for the ET photo maneuver.
And this is Mission Control Houston. 11 minutes and 16 seconds into the flight, the crew of Discovery is in orbit following a liftoff at at 1:20 p.m. Central Time, following 2 brief delays, one to clear aircraft out of the area of the launch site, another to work a minor technical issue. But the crew now on orbit, and they will begin very shortly to climb out of their seats and prepare for 9 very busy days on orbit. An uneventful climb to orbit today for the 7-member crew of Discovery.
Discovery Houston, you have a go for APU hydraulic shutdown.
Copy that.
This is Mission Control Houston. That call giving the crew the go-ahead decision to begin shutdown of the auxiliary power units on board that provide hydraulic power to control surfaces and systems on board Discovery. Initially, Discovery in an elliptical orbit with a high point of about 345 statute miles and a low point of just about 34 miles. The OMS 2 burn in just about 40 minutes or so will circularize that orbit to an altitude of about 350 statute miles. Again, Discovery and its crew of 7, an uneventful 8.5-minute climb to orbit today. The crew of Discovery now in orbit. This is Mission Control Houston. Following their climb to orbit today, an uneventful 8.5-minute climb to orbit for the 7-member crew of Discovery. The flight control team here in Houston has assumed responsibility for the crew and the orbiter and will continue to watch over the crew and its systems as the crew begins the post-insertion procedures. Essentially, that's when they turn their vehicle into a configuration to support the next 9 days of scientific activities to take place on board. And while that work is underway, we'll return to the Kennedy Space Center for a look at some of the replays of today's launch.
Discover Houston, we're sending up OMS 2 targets.
Okay, Houston, we copy that.
Discover Houston, you have a go to load targets.
Copy, go to load targets. And Houston Discovery working ET door closure.
Discover Houston, we're watching. Discover Houston, you have a go to maneuver to OMS 2 attitude.
Copy that, here comes the maneuver.
continuing to watch pictures of NASA as they refeed the tapes of the Space Shuttle Discovery's liftoff from within the last half hour. These are different shots from NASA's channel. We're going to show you a post-liftoff news conference from NASA a little bit later on in our schedule.
The group Americans for Democratic Action released their 1998 ratings of individual members of Congress. Speaking at the news conference today were the ADA's legislative chairman and communications director. It lasts about 45 minutes.
All right, I would like to thank all of you for being here this morning for what has become our annual press briefing on the release of Americans for Democratic Action's voting record of Congress. I'm Bob Carolla, ADA's communications director. I'll be emceeing our initial presentations, and once we're complete, we've finished with that, we'll open it for question and answer and discussion, if you will. For the sake of our C-SPAN audience, Americans for Democratic Action is the nation's oldest independent liberal political organization, founded in 1947 by Eleanor Roosevelt and many other leading liberals of the New Deal era. And ADA also was the first advocacy group in the nation during that period, again in 1947, to start to issue voting records of Congress in order to educate the American public as to the pattern of votes that members cast in their two-year cycles in Washington. We have done so every year since 1947, last year being our 50th one. The methodology that we use is to take 20 key votes, of course, across a range of issues: domestic, foreign, military, economic, social, and environmental, and measure the votes cast by members against ADA's authoritative liberal positions. Using those votes, we come up with what's called a liberal quotient, which is on a scale of 0 to 100. 100 is complete agreement with ADA's liberal positions, while 0, of course, being the opposite conservative extreme. We are not a single-issue organization. We have no litmus tests. We look at, as I said, a range of issues across the board in trying to develop what is a snapshot fact about the ideological leanings of a senator or representative. We also